If you don't ask, the answer is no.
Ankur Warikoo taught you that.
There is no shortcut to success. Hard work नहीं चलेगा अगर आप smartly नहीं काम कर रहे हो. Luckily, Varshika one day came up to me and said, "Why don't we do this together?" Instantly, I said yes to that because I was waiting for her to tell me that.
At this point, what does success feel to you and success look like?
Currently, success for me is waking up and getting that message on my phone how happy a customer is because their child read their first word. At Learn to Read, we do two things. One, we teach kids and make reading enjoyable. At the same time, we make them fall in love with books. दूसरा, हम women empowerment की तरफ देख. 98% of our workforce is women. And the culture that we have in our own lives, which is giving time to family, we have imbibed that in our employees as well, and we encourage them to have a work-life balance.
Hi, Namaskar, I'm Juhee Jain. I am the host and the creator of the show, The Golden Nuggets. Through conversations, we learn about ourselves and about others in ways that nothing else can express. So, Golden Nuggets is about conversations. It's about the perspectives that you draw from these conversations. Perspectives build clarity, and clarity then leads to joy. So, welcome to the podcast. Our today's guest is Nitin Jain. Nitin's story is one of resilience, learning, and transformation. His journey is a roller coaster of experiences, challenges, and triumphs. Let's dive right in and get to know the man behind the success story of Learn to Read. Welcome, Nitin, to the podcast Golden Nuggets.
Thank you so much for the awesome intro. I'm really humbled and I'm super excited to be here.
And how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I woke up, I had a regular routine, and I was looking forward to this. So
thank you for doing this. I know that you are a camera shy person and you still agreed. So to the audience, I would like to tell that Nitin is my brother-in-law and he's running this amazing venture called Learn to Read. And let's know from his side. Let me know, Nitin, what are you currently doing? What's your business about?
So at Learn to Read, we do two things. One, we teach kids and make reading enjoyable for them. We teach them how to read. At the same time, we make them fall in love with books. How do we do that? We make reading gamified for them. We make it interactive for them, and we do it through our live online classes. दूसरा, हम women empowerment की तरफ देखते हैं. So we employ 98% of our workforce is women. So इससे दो चीज़ें होती है. They get work-life balance and we give them financial independence. So two-prong चीज़ें हैं इसमें. एक तो बच्चों को पढ़ाना, उनको रीडिंग सिखाना, which is the most important skill, and empowering women. So this is what we do.
Okay. And जैसे आपने you were in a corporate job and then from there you started your own venture. So ये how did you make this decision?
ये बहुत ही इंस्टिंक्टिव था. ऐसा कुछ सोचा नहीं था. मैंने अपने सपनों में भी नहीं सोचा था कि मैं कुछ वेंचर स्टार्ट करूँगा या मैं और मेरी वाइफ हम मिलके कुछ करेंगे.
हाँ, मुझे याद है when we were doing our stuff, our business, and you would say आप लोग कैसे कर लेते हो इतना रिस्क? How do you all take it? You remember we had that conversation.
I think I remember I told you कि मैं बिजनेस नहीं करना चाहता या नहीं करूँगा शायद. And then you said कि never say no and you should always have everything. You should be open to everything. But that didn't mean a lot to me at that time because I was into my work. But to come back to your question, ये तब स्टार्ट हुआ जब कोविड आया. When COVID hit, everything was dark in the world. किसी को नहीं पता था कि क्या करना है, right? And मैं nearby.com में था उस समय. And Nearby was doing just before COVID, we were doing 40 crores a month in numbers. Wow. Nearby as a company, right? And that number from 40 crores came to zero overnight, right? And उस समय मुझे लगा कि मुझे कुछ करना है और जल्दी करना है. क्योंकि अब अगर मैंने नहीं किया तो आई डोंट नो हाउ लॉन्ग आई विल हैव दिस जॉब फॉर विद ज़ीरो रेवेन्यू इन द कंपनी. एंड 3 महीने कोविड के बाद तो ऐसे निकल गए कि पता ही नहीं लगा कि क्या हो रहा है। और उस समय मैं अपने घर में देख रहा था कि कैसे मेरा खुद का माई सन रिवान ही वॉज स्ट्रगलिंग विथ हिज स्टडीज़ ऑनलाइन। बट एक अच्छी चीज़ ये थी कि वर्षिका वॉज टीचिंग ऑनलाइन इवन बिफोर पैंडमिक, बट उसके जॉब में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी। शी वॉज गेटिंग मोर स्टूडेंट्स एक्चुअली, and she had in some way started her own venture, so she had her own set of kids and she was teaching them. वहाँ मुझे एक ray of hope दिखा, and somewhere deep down I was actually waiting for Varshika to come and tell me कि आप मुझे join कर लो और हम मिल के बच्चों को एक छोटे institute में पढ़ा सकते हैं।
Like really, did you think that it was that big an opportunity, or I don't know?
At that time there was nothing to think because there was zero revenue at nearby, and I knew that this is not going to work, and so I had to do something, right? And somewhere वहाँ पे एक imposter syndrome था कि मुझे पे मिल रहा है nearby से salary मिल रही है एक hefty, and I'm not doing anything, right? तो वहाँ मुझे लगा, मैं wait कर रहा था, and luckily Varshika one day came up to me and said, why don't we do this together? And instantly I said yes to that because I was waiting for her to tell me that. And that day I called up my boss and I quit, and there was no looking back, and I think it was one of the best decisions I've made in my life.
But what were the fears around starting your own business and working together as a couple? You must have heard stories. So were there fears around all of this?
उस समय ये सब थॉट्स ही नहीं थे। एक लाइन में बोलना चाहूँगा, इफ़ यू डोंट टेक इफ़ द बिगेस्ट रिस्क इन लाइफ इज़ नॉट टू टेक द रिस्क। सो ये चीज़ मुझे कहीं ना कहीं पता था फ्रॉम एक्सपीरियंसेस बिकॉज आई हैड बिकम वेरी कंफर्टेबल इन माई नियर बाय जॉब, बट बिफोर दैट आई हैड टेकन रिस्क्स, आई हैड एक्सपीरियंसेस ऑफ लाइफ फ्रॉम वेरियस प्लेसेस दैट आई हैव बीन टू, एंड तब मैंने ये थॉट कि हस्बैंड वाइफ साथ में काम करेंगे तो क्या होगा या बिजनेस में क्या होगा, ये थॉट्स नहीं थे बिकॉज वर्षिका वॉज अर्निंग डिसेंटली वेल टू रन द फैमिली. इवन इफ आई लीव माई जॉब एंड आई डोंट गेट द सैलरी, वी वर फाइन, एंड आई न्यू दैट आफ्टर कोविड मे बी आई गेट अ जॉब. सो देयर वाज नथिंग टू लूज फॉर मी इन ट्राइंग आउट समथिंग न्यू.
जैसे मुझे याद है, वी हैड अ कॉन्वर्सेशन, वर्षिका ने कॉल किया, आपने कॉल किया, and Nishant and me are working together. So Mira only advice was that put your relationship above everything else, and because we've been working together, and now that you are into this journey for so many years, it's been 4 years.
Yes.
So yeah, 4 years where you've created this massive business, you've created a profitable venture. Do you still feel like an imposter, or you feel कि भाई हाँ कुछ massive create किया है?
I wouldn't say imposter, but I wouldn't say massive also. We have gone from zero in day one. I wouldn't say zero. She was earning 40, 50, 60,000 a month from tuitions that she was taking. So from that, we've grown multifold. From Varshika being the only teacher in the company to 175 plus teachers now. 200 plus odd overall employees, including the teachers.
Wow.
So we've come from a 5-figure amount that Varshika was earning to a 8-figure amount a month, and that's the journey that it has been.
God, brilliant. Yeah. And how about students? How many students' lives have you all touched?
We've taught more than 17,000 kids. This is the number, and that's around the world because we are not limited to India. We have kids from 35 plus different countries.
You said 17,000.
17,000 plus kids.
And is that a good number? How do you feel about?
It is a great number for me. I remember day one when we started and we had crossed a month, and I said to Varshika, जिस दिन हमारे पास 500 बच्चे हो जाएंगे उस दिन हम ये करेंगे, right? And I don't remember exactly, but it was a big thing for us. But we just grew every month, and yeah.
Beautiful. And I see you all are also doing it very beautifully. You all are balancing things out so well. Since I know you personally, you all are traveling such a lot. You all are giving time to your child. Your business is also growing. You're giving time to family. You're giving time to everything that matters. Like Varshika and you both love to travel, of course. You all love to give time to family. And you all make that special effort to be there for every person around, you know. We have a big extended family.
Yes.
So how do you all manage that? Like how do you all travel? Like महीने 2 महीने में 3 महीने में आप लोग 1-2 बार ट्रैवल करते हो एंड आप लोग का लाइफ सीम्स सो ग्लैमरस टू ऑल ऑफ अस, वी से ये आप कैसे कर लेते हो?
आई थिंक इसमें एक चीज़ मैं बोलूँगा, मेसी वर्ल्ड्स ग्रेटेस्ट फुटबॉलर, राइट? ऑब्वियसली एक 90 मिनट के गेम में, फुटबॉल के गेम में, हाउ मच डू यू थिंक ही इज़ इन्वॉल्व लाइक एक्टिवली विद द बॉल? ही गेट्स द बॉल फॉर 2 मिनट्स,
करेक्ट.
बाकी 88 मिनट्स वो भाग रहा है, हासिल कर रहा है. बट वो 2 मिनट बॉल पाकर जब वो कुछ करता है, उसके पीछे की जो मेहनत है वो ट्रेन करता है अपने आप को कि जब मेरे पास बॉल आएगी ना तब मैं करूँगा. तो कहने का मतलब ये है कि ऑफ कोर्स देयर हैज़ बीन सो मेनी एक्सपीरियंसेस दैट आई हैव हैड एंड हसल्स दैट I have done, Varshika has done, and even after starting up, we work late nights, all nights, and then we've reached where we are. And I would say this is just the tip of the iceberg, and there is so much to do, right? But at that time, we weren't able to give so much time to family or stuff, but we were focused on achieving certain things in life, so that we can then create the luxury of time for us to be able to give for everything, for our passion, for family and everything. And I think one of the major achievements I would say in this is building a team that we've built. And that team has helped us to be independent. And the culture that we have in our own lives, which is giving time to family, we have imbibed that in our employees as well. And we encourage them to have a work-life balance. We tell them to give time to everything.
So they don't feel burnt out. The teachers
Absolutely.
don't have itna kaam karna hai. Mostly that's what we hear with other EdTech companies, that itna burden hai. Not EdTech companies, I think offline में भी बहुत burden होता है school teachers. I have a cousin, I have friends who are doing, and they feel so like burdened with the kind of work they have to do with primary school students and even senior school students.
Yep.
So I think if you're doing that, it's great.
Thank you.
Okay. And one thing that I want to know, Nitin, which really intrigues me is that आपने शुरू किया 4 साल पहले और आप बोल रहे हो लग्जरी ऑफ टाइम तो हम अभी भी नहीं क्रिएट कर पा रहे हैं. एंड मोस्ट पीपल दे डूइंग द बिजनेस 5 साल 10 साल लग जाते हैं. तो माई क्वेश्चन इज, आप यू वर विथ नियर बाई फॉर हाउ मेनी ईयर्स? 8 years. I am sure you must have learned systems, processes, things there that have really helped in building this and putting yourself on autopilot. So please talk a little about that. थोड़ा बताओ कि कैसे.
So इसमें I would say I would not just talk about nearby, but also my experiences in Australia, of course. Both of them combined together, I think I've been able to gain so much from those experiences, which I've put into learn to read on in the current business now. So I'll talk about 4 things. पहला है hard work and resilience. So with my experiences in Australia, I've learned that there is no shortcut to success. Hard work is really important. I have worked at various odd jobs that people wouldn't even think about doing. So I've washed dishes in Australia. I have worked in Formula 1 racing. I have worked in horse racing events. I've worked in call centers. I've done everything. And I've learned so much from all of those experiences. And I've been resilient, and that has taught me the value of hard work and valuing people coming from different walks of life. And no job is small, right? So that is number 1. Number 2 is customer obsession. So with my experiences in Australia and in nearby, I've dealt with customers directly. I've dealt with customers on the phone. I've dealt with customers on chat, emails, whatever the medium is. Customer obsession is not just a buzzword. It's actually a backbone of any business or any successful business. So that is number 2, which is what I've learned. Smart work. So hard work मैंने बोला, but hard work नहीं चलेगा अगर आप smartly नहीं काम कर रहे हो तो. So hard work and smart work goes hand in hand. इसका एक example मैं दूंगा with my experience in Australia. So I was working in call centers and we were selling इंटरनेट कनेक्शंस. उस टाइम डायल अप कनेक्शंस होते थे, ब्रॉडबैंड नहीं होता था 15 साल पहले. तो इंटरनेट कनेक्शंस एंड अ कॉम्बो ऑफ लैंडलाइन टेलीफोन कॉल्स. So I sold internet connections to people who didn't even have a computer. Because I made a combo and their landline was becoming cheaper and their calls were becoming cheaper. So that's an example of hard work that I want to, smart work that I want to put in. So I was working hard because I was making as many calls as I can, because I knew the more calls you make, the more conversion opportunities you have. But at the same time, I was working smartly to convert those calls. So,
मतलब आपने strategy लगाया, smartness लगाया.
Yes.
So maybe fewer calls में better results आ रहे थे. मतलब number of calls तो थे ही.
yes.
But conversion
conversions
ratio
were more.
more.
Yes.
Correct.
And the fourth thing is adaptability. So इसमें एक line है, adapt or perish if you want to succeed in business in today's world. So examples like Nokia, examples like BlackBerry. If you don't adapt, you perish. And I've learned that from my experiences in Nearby, because in Indian startup culture and the ecosystem that India was entering into at that time, which is the e-commerce sector, that's where I learned how internet business in India, startup culture in India, hustle culture in India works, and how you have to really be agile and adapt to situations that are around you and changing very fast. So in Learn to Read, if I don't adapt, if I don't change, if I don't change my curriculum, if I don't change my way of teaching, if I don't adopt AI, for example, I will perish, right? So that is another learning or experience that I've had that I've used in Learn to Read.
It must have been a very, at this point, what does success feel to you and success look like? You feel you're successful?
Success to me, right now, I feel I am successful from where I was, let's say 4 years ago. In Nearby, I felt when I joined Nearby day one, 8 years later, I felt, yes, I had done something. Then the meaning of success has changed, of course.
What is it currently for you?
Currently, success for me is waking up and getting that message on my phone how happy a customer is because their child read their first word. How happy a child is because they picked up their first book and read. And that is success for me. And I see that success every day, and that keeps me motivated to keep going and keep doing more.
So how is Learn to Read different from competition or from others that are in the market?
Our one differentiation is our focus on early childhood education, and within that, our focus on phonics.
Okay.
So there is, I don't see any company which is just focused on teaching kids how to read and making it an enjoyable journey for them. And when I say that we teach kids how to read, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to make them fall in love with books. Ultimately, that's what we want to do. Okay, so to achieve that, we do so many things while we are teaching kids how to read. We make it so enjoyable for kids through our teaching methods that they love what we do. So they go to our competition and they come back. They go to our competition because they might be cheaper or they are cheaper, and then they come back to us sometimes. So that is one differentiation. The second differentiation is we handpick everyone we hire. There is no one in the company who we hire will not go through us. So hiring is the most important thing in the business, I think, and retaining. So that is where we are involved in. I don't think a lot of businesses do that, or CEOs, founders do that when they come at a certain scale, of course.
You still look into this function, that's what you're saying?
We still look into hiring. We make sure that everyone who joins us speaks to us in some way or the other.
Got it. Nitin, I want to ask this one question, that how is it working with your wife as a co-founder, and are you all able to differentiate your roles, and does the overlap happen? So how do you all manage that?
It's a good question. It's not as easy. If you look at it from outside, of course you wouldn't know the struggles, right? So we have fought, we have had our differences, and that spills over to personal life. Personal life spilling over to business. So everything happens because from the time we wake up, my office is right beside my bed. We are working from home, and sometimes we share workspaces. So it's been challenging, It has not been easy, but we've grown, we've matured into this, and we've defined our roles. Of course, it has to be there. There are some overlaps, but we know how to manage them, and we've been successfully doing it, and hopefully we will be
Touch wood.
continuing to do that.
How are your styles different? What is your style of operating, and what is her style of doing things?
मेरा स्टाइल शुरू से बहुत सेम रहा है. जब मैं नियरबाई में था, जब मैं इधर हूँ, मैं कहीं भी था तो सेम स्टाइल से था. वेन एवर आई वॉज इन टीम लीडिंग पोजिशन और वेन आई वॉज मैनेजिंग पीपल, आई नेवर बिलीव्ड इन माइक्रो मैनेजिंग. मैंने कभी किसी से नहीं पूछा कि कौन कहाँ है, क्या कर रहा है. दैट इज़ नॉट बीन माई स्टाइल. माई स्टाइल हैज़ बीन ऑफ one of empathy. So whenever there is something, a situation occurring, I will listen to all the sides, all the stories, and then come to a conclusion and try and help everyone, and then not think of a solution to solve that problem, but think of a solution in long run कि problem क्यों हुई और आगे ना हो. That is how my approach is. On the एक चीज़ और है कि शायद because of all of this I might be a little slow in decision making. So
Things don't close as easily.
I don't take decisions maybe as quickly as I should, or as quickly as I would like to, when things come up for making a choice or a decision. Now coming to Varshika's style, that is my opinion purely. So she is very impulsive. If a situation comes up, an escalation comes up, she will take a call right there and then, maybe not hearing all the sides of the story. So that's where I think we balance each other. But on the other hand, that is also a positive.
It's a
Sometimes
strength
it's a
also,
strength because her decision making is really quick.
So she doesn't brood over things.
She doesn't think over it too much. So overthinking is gone. And then she decides and immediately implements. I, from my corporate background, I will think, I will plan, I will make a procedure around it. I will do everything in writing. Maybe I will test if required and then implement. But that much time, maybe in a startup culture, we don't have in certain areas. So maybe her quick decision making has helped me a lot in a lot of places.
And your documentation and setting up the SOPs have helped
That
the
has
company.
helped. Yes. So I think it's a perfect gel.
Blend.
Yeah.
Like you spoke about the empathy part that you have as a leader, and you really, which is much required. Do you think it is something that normally is inherent, or you built it up also with your journey at Groupon, where you must have seen your leaders? Or who were the founders?
Nearby.com had 5 founders. Okay. When I left, we were left with 3 founders.
Okay.
Actually 2 founders when I left, but the 3 main founders, I think, when I was there in my journey were Ankur, Variku, Ravi, Snehesh. Okay. They were the 3 co-founders.
And who's had... so I think the first question first you answer. The empathy. Did it...
I think I have been like that.
Inherently.
With my life experiences, I think I lost my father when I was really young, when I was 5, and I have seen a lot during those times, and how my mother handled those situations and raised us. It wasn't easy for her, of course. And looking back, I think somewhere with those experiences when I was growing up, and my mother was raising 3 of us alone, to having different experiences. I went to Delhi for college. I went to Australia for masters. All of those experiences, I think, has taught me how empathy is really important, because there is always a story from every side. One person might say something, but then you have to hear out the other person, right? Because they have their own story.
Correct.
So yeah, as a leader, I think that is a really important skill to have.
I think it's an inherent skill, and then obviously
it's a trait more than learning the skill. I think
it is a trait. Correct.
So yeah.
So about the 3 founders, who have you been most influenced by, and what is that you've taken from them?
I think all of the three have been pivotal. I have worked under them directly, reporting to them in some point of my working journey at Nearby. So I've worked with Ravi the most, who was also looking at the business side of Nearby, and I was directly reporting to him. So his style of working was very different to the other two. I have learned the art of looking at numbers really carefully from Ravi. So he was all about numbers all the time. Whenever I had meetings, he was ready with his marker pen on the board, writing all the numbers. So he just meant numbers. And he taught me that your focus is not always top line in a business. Your focus has to be at the bottom line as well. And that is what we have really been able to do at Learn to Read from day one. My focus has been at bottom line more than the top line. Because at the end of the day, when you're in business, you're here to make profits.
So there is this saying that, turnover is vanity and profits are sanity.
Absolutely. Yes.
Most of us lose that. We say turnover game, revenue, the ego feels.
I think most of the startups who are looking at top line are mostly looking, the only goal in their mind is to do a startup and get funded. And they're not looking beyond that. I feel that. And that's why they're looking at top line. But things have changed now. Investors have changed and they are looking at profitability and they are looking at bottom line. And that's what I've learned from Ravi. From Snehesh, he was a completely different kind of a guy. He had his own venture when he joined Nearby. He failed in that venture, I think, and then he joined us. And he I think, is one of the most smartest person that I've dealt with or met. He thinks things very differently. Although he's a hardcore IT guy, but there was a point in time when he was also looking at the business side in Nearby. So it didn't give me a feeling that he didn't know the business side at all. He knew it very well. He learned really fast and he adapted. And he taught me how important it is to be agile. Right? So he gave us that example once we were sitting in a meeting that why don't you, and we were 5-6 of us, and he said, all of you hit the table as hard as you can. And then we all hit it like that. And then he said, okay, now I'll do. And he hit it from this height here. And obviously his bang sounded the loudest. And he said, why that happened? Because I saw things from the top and I came from the top and I planned everything and I had more force to apply. And that can be applied to businesses as well. You have to look at things from long term and not short term. And the impact that it will create will be much harder, much stronger. So that is what he taught me.
That left an impact.
An impact in me. And Variku बिल्कुल अलग बंदा है. So he is influential. He is charismatic. वो लोगों को बांध के रखता है जब वो बोलता है. And that is one skill I've always wanted to have. मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि मैं ऐसे क्यों नहीं बोल सकता. और मेरे अंदर हमेशा एक स्टेज फ्राइट रहा है. तो मैं जब तक स्टेज पे नहीं हूँ तब तक मैं बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट हूँ. और जैसे ही मैं स्टेज पे आता हूँ तब मुझे अपनी खुद की आवाज़ सुनाई देती है. एंड आई एम लाइक कि मैं नहीं कर सकता. तो जब मैं वारिकू को देखता हूँ बोलते हुए, उसने मुझे उस फील्ड में बहुत इंस्पायर किया कि पब्लिक स्पीकिंग कैसे करनी है और लोगों को बांध के कैसे रखना है. दैट इज़ वन थिंग. एंड द अदर थिंग ही टॉट मी इज़ इफ़ यू डोंट आस्क द आंसर इज़ नो.
Ankur Warikoo taught you that.
So that has left a very deep impact in me. And I was like, ये तो इतनी सिंपल सी बात है. Of course अगर आप पूछोगे नहीं तो हाँ कैसे होगा.
हाँ, तो इसका डीपर मीनिंग तो यही है आई थिंक कि अपन अपने ईगो में रह जाते हैं कि कैसे पूछें या क्यों पूछें,
या वो तो मना कर देगा,
या तो वो मना कर देगा.
तो आप पूछोगे नहीं तो मना तो वैसे भी है.
हाँ.
तो इट्स बेटर यू टेक एन आंसर एज अ नो. सो वो मैंने सीखा और फ्रॉम दैट डे आई हैव नेवर फॉरगॉटन दैट. एंड आई हैव टॉट माई son also that, and I've taught everyone who I meet, I tell them this. It's really important lesson in this small line.
So I think that just shows humility in some way, and as leaders, I think confidence and humility have to go hand in hand.
आप इसमें वो है कि आप हेल्प, अगर आपको लगता है कि आप खुद सब कुछ कर सकते हो तो आप आगे नहीं बढ़ पाओगे. यू हैव टू सीक हेल्प एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ द टाइम ऑफ वट एवर यू डूइंग, पर्सनल लाइफ, बिजनेस, वट एवर यू डूइंग. आप जब तक रीच आउट नहीं करोगे हेल्प के लिए तब तक आप कैसे आगे बढ़ोगे, क्योंकि सारी स्किल आपके अंदर नहीं हो सकती है, राइट. एंड इसका एक क्लासिक एग्जाम्पल ये है कि वो ठेले वाले होते हैं ना, डाब बेचते हैं वो, तो बाहर से चिल्ला रहे होते हैं 100 का 3, 100 का 3 डाब के लिए. सो अब जो चिल्ला के, क्योंकि सब घरों में अंदर, जो चिल्ला के बेच रहा है वो ज़्यादा बेचेगा या सोफेस्टिकेटेडली कोई अपना बहुत सुंदर सा ठेला लेके बस घूम रहा है बिना कुछ बोले. तो जब तक आप अपना हाथ बढ़ाओगे नहीं, मांगोगे नहीं, पूछोगे नहीं, तो आपको अपॉर्चुनिटी कैसे मिलेगी? कोई आपका हाथ कब कैसे पकड़ेगा?
आपको दिखना भी पड़ेगा. आपको यू हैव टू बी वोकल एंड विजिबल.
यस.
सो नाउ दैट यू आर लीडिंग योर ओन वेंचर, आपको नीड नहीं पड़ती है लोगों, लाइक यू टू कम आउट इनटू द ओपन, मीट, लाइक फेस द कैमरा एंड मेक वीडियोस, talk about your brand, tell about your brand story. It's a very deep, impactful one. So
we have put ourselves in situations जहाँ हम जाते हैं, मिलते हैं,
purposely
workshops करते हैं. I was part of this event called Smash Up in Rajasthan, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे investors थे, बहुत सारे startups आए थे. And मैंने I think in 30 minutes, I met 28 investors and gave them pitches back to back.
How was that experience? Talk about that. How was it? Was it?
I think just before when I was doing it, I was thinking too much. And मुझे ऐसा लग रहा था कैसे होगा, इन्वेस्टर्स हैं वो क्या सोचेंगे ब्रांड के बारे में, और कुछ लोग सोचेंगे कि आपने तो कुछ किया ही नहीं है, यहाँ क्यों आए हो, राइट, कुछ करो पहले. या कुछ लोग टफ क्वेश्चंस पूछ लेंगे, मुझे आएगा नहीं तो मैं क्या बोलूँगा. बट आई थिंक आई वॉज प्रिपेयर्ड ऑल्सो, एंड मुझे पता था क्या बोलना है.
आए टफ क्वेश्चंस आए?
Questions आए, but since I was prepared, I was able to deal with that. And there were questions which I wasn't able to answer, which was good for me. तो मैंने सीखा और मैंने समझा, and I knew more about my own business.
और कितने घंटे का इवेंट था ये? मतलब आपको कितने देर वो स्पॉट में
3
था?
minute for each investor, 28 investors. So let's say 30 investors. So about 80 minutes I had to do all of that.
Nice. I'm sure it must have been some experience.
It was. That is where I also met Smash Up event में I met someone from EdTech. His name is Juhee Jain. He's built a company called 𝐕𝐢𝐬𝐻. And that's a very successful startup again. So because when you go to events like this and you have experiences, you meet people, right? And I was lucky enough to be there, and I think I should thank Varshika because she pushes me for these things. So he told me, and we came up, हमने बोला कि हमारा बिगेस्ट चैलेंज हमारी कंपनी में है हायरिंग, और उससे भी बड़ा चैलेंज है रिटेनिंग. तो उसने बोला कि क्या प्रॉब्लम है? बोला टीचर्स ज्वाइन करते हैं, छोड़ देते हैं, वो हमसे सीख लेते हैं फिर छोड़ देते हैं. तो उसने तो क्या हो गया, राइट. एंड ही सेड, तो हमने बोला हम क्या कर सकते हैं कि वो ना छोड़े. बोला आप उस चीज़ पे फोकस करो जो आपके कंट्रोल में है, उस चीज़ पे मत करो जो कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते हो. जिनको छोड़ना है वो छोड़ेंगे. आप क्या कर सकते हो, आप उनको रिटेन करने की कोशिश कर सकते हो. सो यू गिव एज मच एज यू कैन टू योर टीचर्स एंड टू योर एम्प्लॉयज़. आप जितना दे सकते हो अपनी तरफ से दो, ये मत सोचो कि वो रहेगा या नहीं रहेगा. सो दैट वॉज अ गुड लर्निंग फॉर मी. एंड वन मोर थिंग समवन एल्स टोल्ड मी दैट इट्स अ लीकी बकेट. तो आप ये सोचो कि आप बकेट में पानी भरते हो, नीचे से एक होल है, पानी निकलता जाएगा और आपको भरते रहना है. So hiring for me is like that actually. So we keep hiring teachers, and there are teachers who keep leaving, and that is the reality of education business right now.
Why do these teachers leave? Meaning what? You like you said the culture is good.
Yes.
So
we are completely a 100% remote organization, right? And we've chosen to be like that. And I think I'm really proud to build a company like that. Where even after everything's opened, we chose to be remote. A lot of companies went hybrid. बट उसका एक चैलेंज ये है कि रिमोट कौन काम करना चाहता है या कौन करता है जिनके कुछ लिमिटेशंस होते हैं. या तो उनके हेल्थ चैलेंजेस हैं, या उनके घर पे लिमिटेशंस हैं, या उनके इन लॉज की तरफ से लिमिटेशंस हैं. लाइक आई सेड, वी हैव विमेन मोस्टली. 100% ऑफ आवर टीचर्स आर विमेन. तो उनके घर पे इन लॉज के साथ चैलेंजेस हैं, उनके किड्स हैं, या वो फैमिली प्लान कर रहे हैं, बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती हैं. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दीज रीजन्स एग्जैक्टली दे देन टेंड टू लीव their own health issues with their in-laws, their kids who are really young, or they are expecting, or they are planning a family, so they left their full-time job and they joined a part-time job with us. So things like that, and we don't mind because we still have to keep hiring, and
So you have do you keep more number of teachers than required at a given point of time so that you have backups?
we try and do that. But to be frank with you, we haven't reached that situation yet because hiring is still one of the toughest things to do. There are edtechs who have hired freshers and tried to train them and think that yes, they'll be able to do it. But in our mind, I don't think that will work.
Why wouldn't that work?
Because teaching small kids between the age of 3 to 8 requires a lot of empathy. It requires experience of dealing with different kinds of kids. Kids are not easy to handle, right? They will be jumping around on their seat everywhere, crying, not in a mood, throwing tantrums. How do you deal with them without the touch and feel? Right? You're not there with them. So then in an online environment, to make them sit and listen to you and learn at the same time is not easy. And that won't come without experience. So I can't teach that skill overnight. It'll be a long process.
It's something that one must have within, and
one
then
must have, and with their experiences. So if they have taught in schools give them that kind of exposure. They are dealing with 20-30 kids at a time in a school. तो उनको पता है कि कैसे डील करना है हर सिचुएशन में हर बच्चे से.
How about when things get tough and it gets very overwhelming? What do you do?
I would sit back, I think, and retrospectively think what has happened, and think about why it has happened and what is the solution to it. Because every problem comes with a solution, and every solution leads to another problem. So I would think of all of that and take a call and take it as another challenge that has come.
So do you think just by yourself? You need a team of people to think through? Do you brainstorm with your team?
The beauty of a startup is that even an intern to someone who's just joined would get the kind of exposure they would never get in a well set up company.
Correct. I agree.
They would get to see the in and out of how things are done, right? So yes, I give a lot of autonomy to my employees. I give them the responsibilities and the power to take decisions.
But you all have brainstorming sessions together?
We have brainstorming sessions. I will give them tasks. A lot of times I wouldn't tell them how it needs to be done. Because that is where I check them, how they respond to that. Right? And that is where I know who is a future leader. Because I need to build a strong team around me. So that is my working style.
So Nitin, a few quick questions to know you better.
Yes.
What was the first thing you did after deciding to leave your corporate job?
First thing that I did after I decided to leave my corporate job, I made policies around how I would hire my first teacher. What is the hiring process? And at the same time, because I was wearing multiple hats, at that time I was doing marketing, I was creating the creatives, I was posting, I was the salesperson. So I learned how to make creatives on Canva. So I learned Canva and I made policies on how to hire.
One word to describe your corporate career.
It has been experiential.
One word to describe your entrepreneurial journey.
Hustle. There has been hustle from day one and till now.
Biggest fear when starting Learn to Read.
Getting the first 100 kids.
The first book you read on entrepreneurship.
I'm not sure if it's exactly entrepreneurship, but I read Rework.
Best piece of advice you received when you started out.
Don't overthink and just do. Just go with the flow.
One habit that has helped you succeed as an entrepreneur.
I think my habit to keep my ears open and listen to everyone, not just employees, but to your customers.
Favorite productivity tool or app?
See, we are dependent on technology because it's an online class. We've been using third-party software since day one. So to name without which we couldn't have done is obviously Zoom.
नहीं productivity बोलेंगे उसको?
Productivity, because a lot of Zoom is one of the most expensive video applications to use. But they are expensive for a reason. There are free applications to use. We could have saved lakhs of in terms of our expenses by using free tools, right? But we opted not to because of the quality that Zoom offers, and it increases the productivity of our classes and the experience for the kids. So yeah.
The hardest skill to learn as an entrepreneur?
I don't know if taking risk is a skill.
I think it is. You learn it.
It can be developed.
It can.
I think that is the hardest skill, because that is one, and secondly to adapt to change. These are the two things I would say.
Your go-to stress reliever?
Travel.
Most important quality in a co-founder?
I think to trust the other founders in decision making.
One thing you love about being an entrepreneur?
I love the fact that we have created opportunity to work for so many people, and we are giving them a livelihood that they wouldn't have otherwise. So that, I think, is what I love being an entrepreneur.
One thing you miss about your corporate life?
I miss the Saturdays and Sundays. It was always off. There was no work. There was no pressure of picking calls. There was no pressure of opening a laptop. And I was with my family all the time.
Biggest misconception about entrepreneurship?
Biggest misconception is that it's so easy and there is so much money to make. I think people feel कि ये तो businessman है, बहुत पैसे कमाता होगा. But ऐसा नहीं होता हर बार, because the more you earn, the more expenses you incur. एंड ऐसा एक्चुअली मेरे साथ भी था. जब मैं स्टार्टअप कर रहा था तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि यार ऑनलाइन टीचिंग में क्या चाहिए, एक लैपटॉप चाहिए, मुझे ऑफिस भी नहीं चाहिए, तो मैं अपने घर पे बैठ के करूँगा. मुझे याद है मैंने टेबल और चेयर भी आपसे लिया था. तो कोई एक्सपेंस ही नहीं था. बट देन व्हेन वी स्टार्टेड बिल्डिंग अ टीम वी रियलाइज इट्स नॉट एज सिंपल एज इट सीम्स, एंड इट्स वे मोर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, एंड देयर आर सो मेनी एक्सपेंसेस. सो एंड लोगों को लगता था कि क्या आप तो घर से काम कर रहे हो, खर्चे भी नहीं हैं, इतने सारे बच्चे हैं. एंड ईजी वे था, अच्छा
तो मजे
आपकी फीस कितनी है, इतनी, और बच्चे कितने, इतने, अच्छा आप इतना कमाते हो.
और कोई खर्चे लोगों को दिखते नहीं. योर रोल मॉडल इन द बिजनेस वर्ल्ड?
आई थिंक रतन टाटा. आई लाइक हाउ हम्बल ही इज with the heights that he's achieved. And someone said कि आप पहाड़ इसलिए मत चढ़ो कि दुनिया आपको देख सके, आप पहाड़ इसलिए चढ़ो कि आप दुनिया को देख सको.
As a company, they've been able to build so much of trust.
And even with that, he's so humble and down to earth.
So on that note, you did really well. बहुत अच्छा.
Thank you so much.
It was a sneak peek into your life. Last section is about golden nuggets. The inspiration one, golden nugget of inspiration that has really transformed your life.
I think my biggest inspiration that I draw is from my mother. And the hard work and the hustle that I have and the empathy that I have is all from her. So I have seen her growing up, I've seen her struggling and doing all the hard work without questioning anything. And she's never made us realize that we are missing on something. So that has made me into a person that I am. And that experience for me of hard work, of being empathetic, of not giving up in life, in any situation, that is the biggest source of inspiration. My mom is the one person.
So thank you, Nitin.
Thank you so much.
We had an awesome conversation. I think I really enjoyed it. And let's hope we can do a second round very soon. There are so many aspects that we couldn't cover today. I was also hoping that I can get Varshika for another round of
Yeah, it'll be great.
hear her
Yes.
side of the story as a
Yes.
co-founder, and what did she go through while building up Learn to Read,
Yeah,
because
and
it's
then-
been both your journeys together, so it would be very interesting to kind of hear it from her.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.